As I stood in the bathroom, surrounded by the warm embrace of steam from my shower, I never envisioned that our cherished Duke would alter the essence of our existence. His abrupt and fierce arrival disrupted the tranquility of our dwelling, plunging me into a whirlwind of disbelief and uncertainty. As I find myself here, pen hovering above the page, I wrestle with a burden so profound that it risks shattering the love and trust that once characterized my union. But how can I share this with Mark? How can I share the mysteries that defy understanding? A tale of truth is unfolding, gathering momentum like a tempest, ready to reveal its power and transform all it encounters. What tales will unfold when the quiet shatters? On a balmy summer evening in 1970, the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow that transformed the sky into a canvas of vibrant oranges and soft pinks. As the evening unfolded, my husband Mark ventured out to his weekly poker game, with the guys leaving me in the cozy company of our cherished dog Duke. Duke was a magnificent German shepherd, steadfast and watchful, the type of friend every family hopes to welcome into their lives. As I stood in the bathroom, the steam from the hot shower enveloping the space and clouding the mirror, Duke unexpectedly entered the room. Something about his behavior seemed anxious and off, not like his usual self. In that moment, Duke reacted in a way that startled me and left me deeply unsettled. In that instant, everything I knew was transformed completely. Duke, our beloved family companion, surprised us all with an unexpected and profoundly unsettling behavior. I froze in confusion as Duke's unusual behavior overwhelmed me in a way I hadn't seen before, so contrary to the essence of our bond that it left me feeling shaken and emotionally disturbed. The aftermath unfolded like a haze filled with swirling emotions of confusion and guilt. I found it hard to share with Mark. How can I convey the gravity of our Duke's misstep? The weight of shame was suffocating, and the dread of judgment or disbelief held my words captive. As time passed, the days melted into weeks, and the hidden truth simmered within me, a shadow expanding and deepening. I began to distance myself from Duke, my former cherished companion, now an unending echo of that dreadful evening. As time went on, the dynamics between Mark and me started to shift. The closeness we had was overshadowed by my unspoken struggle, and I began to distance myself, unable to meet his gaze, as the heaviness of my hidden truth bore down on me. One evening, while I found myself in solitude in our living room, the quiet was interrupted by the distant jingle of Duke's collar. My heart pounded in my chest, and a chill of anxiety swept over me, leaving beads of sweat on my brow. What was I supposed to do? How could I go on pretending, deceiving not only Mark, but also my own heart? As time went on, I began to observe the quiet transformations in Mark. Could he have had an inkling of what was unfolding? Did he feel the change in the air of our dwelling? His eyes, once brimming with affection and faith, now sometimes revealed a glimmer of uncertainty or bewilderment. And then there was the tale of my own sanity. Was I losing my mind? The event with Duke echoed in my thoughts, growing increasingly vivid and lifelike with each recollection. I started to ponder all that surrounded me: my loyalty, my peace of mind, my essence as a partner and a woman. The atmosphere in our home thickened, reminiscent of an impending tempest waiting to unleash its fury. It was clear that I needed to face this, to articulate what felt beyond expression, yet each attempt left me struggling to find my voice. As I find myself here putting thoughts to paper, I can't help but ponder what lies ahead. What tales will unfold when the truth is revealed? Will Mark grasp the tale? Will he ever gaze upon me with that same spark again? And Duke, our beloved Duke, what tale does this unfold for him? As time moves forward and the light fades, I find myself at a crossroads, to share or to hold back. Yet one thing remains clear: the truth, much like a tempest, will eventually break free and reveal itself. As the days went by, I felt a growing distance not only from Mark, but also from the vibrant life beyond our doorstep. The lively connections we once enjoyed faded away as I retreated into my own thoughts, burdened by the haunting memory of Duke's unthinkable actions. Each day unfolded with ordinary tasks, serving as a veil over the chaos that brewed inside. One afternoon, as I was hanging laundry in the backyard, I caught sight of Mrs. Henderson, our neighbor, observing me with an intrigued expression. Her eyes appeared to search as if seeking to unveil the mysteries I held so tightly within. I raised my hand in greeting, a smile stretching across my face, yet her gaze held fast, sending a ripple of unease through me. The following day, Mark returned home sooner than he typically did. The poker game came to an unexpected halt, sparked by a disagreement among the players. He discovered me in the kitchen, lost in thought, gazing at the wall with a half-assembled sandwich waiting patiently before me. "Is everything all right, dear?" he inquired, a hint of worry lacing his tone. I nodded, though my heart felt distant. Feeling weary, I managed to utter, turning away to escape his stare. Mark, always the caring partner, chose not to pry, yet I sensed his gaze upon me, seeking to understand the shift in my mood. He began to linger at home more often, perhaps feeling that something was off, or maybe simply attempting to close the widening chasm between us. Our evenings, once vibrant with joy and the exchange of tales, now linger in quiet, endless moments. There were moments when I would notice Mark gazing at me, his expression a blend of concern and bewilderment. He attempted to spark a dialogue, yet my replies were brief, my thoughts drifting, revisiting the moment with the Duke, pondering my own role in the quiet that enveloped us. One evening, as we sat on the porch, the air thick with the scent of jasmine, Mark took my hand, and a tale began to unfold between us. "There's been a gap between us, my dear. Do you have a tale to share with me?" His voice was soft, yet it wrapped around me like a tightening embrace, leaving me breathless. I withdrew my hand, the thoughts I longed to express lodged in my throat like a harsh reminder. "It's just a small thing, Mark. Just the journey we all experience, I suppose." I deceived, feeling a deep sense of self-loathing for my actions. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and Duke, attuned to the change, settled at our feet, resting his head on his paws, his gaze fixed on us. What used to bring solace now loomed over him like an unrelenting judgment. The following morning, I chose to take Duke for a stroll, believing that the crisp air could help clear my thoughts. As we strolled through the park, I spotted a couple accompanied by a dog that resembled Duke. Amidst the laughter and joy, their dog danced around them, embodying the spirit of freedom and delight. A wave of longing washed over me as I observed the ease with which they navigated their lives. Duke, however, carried an air of quietness that was uncharacteristic of him. His tail lacked its usual enthusiasm, and he stayed close to me as if he too bore the burden of our unspoken bond. Upon returning home, I discovered a letter from my sister beckoning us to join her for a weekend escape. The thought of breaking free even just for a moment was alluring, yet the idea of mingling with others, of putting on a facade that all was well, caused me to pause. Mark, on the other hand, was filled with excitement. "It'll be a refreshing experience for us. A new backdrop," he said, his eyes filled with anticipation. I nodded, yet deep down fear gripped my heart. What if the reality unfolded out there beyond the comfort of our sanctuary? Imagine a scenario where Duke, surrounded by unfamiliar surroundings, finds himself in a situation that prompts him to express himself once more. As we gathered our things, my gaze fell upon Duke. He seemed devoid of the usual thrill that car rides brought him. He appeared to feel the tempest gathering much like I did. The journey to my sister's was serene, with the gentle hum of the radio filling the air. Mark attempted to draw me into a dialogue, yet my responses were brief and lacking in depth. My thoughts were swirling, conjuring up vivid scenes where the truth would emerge, compelling me to face the reality of what transpired. As I stepped into my sister's home, the air was vibrant, resonating with the joyful sounds of her children and the comforting embrace of family. Yet, as we made ourselves comfortable, an unsettling sense of foreboding lingered in the air. That night, as I lay in bed next to Mark, his arm around me, a profound sense of solitude enveloped me. The shadows wrapped around us, deepening the stillness that lingered in the air. It was clear to me that I needed to find my voice to shatter the stillness, yet trepidation kept me rooted in place. The following day, as Mark spent time with my brother-in-law, I found myself in the company of my sister, just the two of us. She sensed my discomfort, her gaze warm and inquisitive. "It appears that something is weighing on your mind. What tales are swirling in your thoughts?" She inquired, her tone a soft beckoning to share what weighed heavy. I parted my lips, the thoughts swirling just beneath the surface, when suddenly Duke's bark rang out from outside, a vivid reminder of the hidden truth I carried within. And in the blink of an eye, that moment slipped away. Yet the seed of revelation had been sown, and I understood that in time it would blossom into something I could no longer overlook. The weekend unfolded every second a step closer to a fateful encounter. As we got ready to depart, it struck me that the truth, much like an impending storm, was gathering strength, poised to unleash itself at any instant. The journey home from my sister's was filled with an unspoken tension, the silence between Mark and me hanging heavily in the air. Duke reclined in the back, his head gently resting against the seat, his eyes fixed on the window, reflecting a deep sense of longing. The weekend had offered a brief respite, but now the weight of reality was tightening its grip. Once we returned to our abode, the well-known environment offered little comfort to my unease. Instead, they appeared to deepen the burden of my hidden truth. Mark, perhaps picking up on the change in my demeanor, proposed that we watch a movie together, aiming to restore a sense of normalcy. I nodded, yet my thoughts wandered, revisiting the almost revelation to my sister. As we nestled into the couch, Duke sprawled at our feet, his presence a quiet, unwavering testament to the moments we shared. The film unfolded before me, yet the narrative barely penetrated my mind, as my thoughts were entirely occupied by the weighty choice of whether to unveil the truth or remain in quietude. Out of nowhere, the phone chimed, cutting through the thick atmosphere. Mark replied, a spark of enthusiasm brightening his tone. "Oh, hey, Tom. Yes, we're back. Come on over for a drink and let me share some tales with you." As fate would have it, Tom, a familiar face among Mark's circle of poker enthusiasts, was making his way over. My heart felt heavy, as the last thing I desired was company, yet I understood that Mark could use a diversion. As Tom stepped through the door, his vibrant spirit illuminated the space, breaking through the weighty silence that had enveloped our home. "It was wonderful to encounter you, Tom," I remarked, mustering a grin. "Hey, Linda, you seem a bit different today. Is everything all right?" His eyes sought mine, perhaps sensing the subtle strain I couldn't conceal just a touch under the weather. I wove a tale, sensing the confines of my fabrication tightening around me. The men exchanged words, their laughter resonating throughout the house, as I slipped away to the kitchen. There I found myself leaning against the counter, inhaling deeply, attempting to calm the flutter of my nerves. In that moment, a deep growl rumbled from Duke. I glanced over to the kitchen door, where he stood, his gaze fixed on me, his body rigid with anticipation. Was he responding to my anxiety, or was there a deeper narrative at play? My heart raced as I recalled the event, the breach, and now this fresh, disquieting conduct. As I stepped back into the living room, I found Mark and Tom deep in conversation about an exciting new business venture. Duke trailed behind me, each step weighted, his aura looming large. As the evening unfolded, Tom's offhand remark about a new neighbor, a single woman who had recently settled in down the street, piqued my curiosity. With a playful glint in his eye, Tom remarked on her beauty, prompting a chuckle from Mark, who brushed it aside with a grin. Yet that remark lingered in my mind, a fresh face in the neighborhood, unbound, residing just a stone's throw away. Could this be yet another challenge for our already fragile union? My imagination surged with a whirlwind of scenarios, anxieties, and doubts. Once Tom departed, Mark and I set about tidying up the space. He appeared to float on air, the visit having brightened his mood, while I found myself sinking deeper into my own chaos as the night wore on. As the day came to a close, Mark extended his hand towards me, his touch soft and inviting, yearning for a bond between us. I felt a sudden tension as the idea of closeness became intertwined with a sense of remorse and apprehension. "I'm not feeling my best, Mark," Perhaps the dawn will bring new tales, I murmured as I turned my back. In the shadows, his breath carried the weight of unfulfilled hopes. All right, my dear, take some time to recharge. The following morning, I arose with a newfound determination. This couldn't go on any longer. The truth had to be revealed not only for my own benefit, but also for Mark's and the sake of our marriage. But how can it be done? The dread of his response, the thought of being without him, was immobilizing. As I took Duke for a stroll, I found myself craving a moment to reflect and gather my thoughts. As we strolled along, my eyes were drawn to the new neighbor, a woman with captivating features nurturing her garden with care. She waved, and I returned the gesture, a courteous smile fixed on my lips. In contrast, Duke responded in a unique way. He leaned in closer to her, his tail wagging with excitement, a vivid difference from how he acted around me. She chuckled, exclaiming, "He's quite the charmer, don't you think?" I nodded, feeling a heaviness in my chest. Duke's reaction struck me like a dagger, adding yet another twist to the intricate tapestry of feelings I found myself woven into. Upon returning home, I discovered Mark nestled in his study, his features softly lit by the warm glow of his desk lamp. As he sifted through the papers, his gaze met mine the moment I stepped in, curiosity flickering in his eyes. "Mark, there's something important we need to discuss." I spoke, my voice just a breath above silence. He set his pen aside, a weight settling on his features. "What's the matter, Linda?" The words lingered on the tip of the tongue, eager to break free. But Duke's bark rang out from outside, a stark reminder of the turmoil, the breach, the hidden truth. My bravery wavered. It's about Duke," I began, my voice quivering with emotion. "His behavior has taken a turn, and it's causing me concern." Mark's brow knitted in thought. "How peculiar." I paused, the reality swirling in my mind, yet I chose to say he's been on edge, not quite his usual self. Mark stood, a narrative of worry unfolding across his face. "It might be a good idea to visit the vet. There could be an issue we need to address." The chance to share my truth was fading, giving way to a new form of challenge. As we got ready to take Duke to the vet, I sensed that this was merely the start of our journey. As the dark clouds gathered, a sense of anticipation filled the air, hinting at the chaos that was about to unfold, transforming all it touched. As we made our way to the vet, Duke sat in the back, his gaze locking with mine in the rearview mirror, and I realized that the reality we faced extended beyond just Duke. It revolved around my journey, our shared experiences, and the delicate bond that was on the brink of being challenged in ways I could never have foreseen. In the vet's office, the atmosphere was heavy with the sharp smell of antiseptic, accompanied by the hushed whispers of anxious pet owners. Duke perched on the examination table, his ears attentive, scanning the surroundings with a keen awareness that masked the unease lingering at home. Dr. Ellis, the vet, a woman with a warm smile and a soothing presence, came over to us, clipboard in hand. "Greetings, Linda and Mark. What's the tale with Duke today?" she inquired, her tone gentle and calming. I looked over at Mark, his expression filled with worry. His behavior has taken a turn, revealing a side that's unexpected and confrontational. I murmured, my voice just a breath, the burden of the hidden reality heavy upon me. Dr. Ellis nodded, embarking on her examination journey. "Let's embark on a journey to uncover the mysteries at play." As she tended to Duke, I observed my heart pounding with anticipation. Each gentle touch and lingering gaze from the vet seemed to delve deep into the very essence of my being. Duke stayed composed beneath her touch, a striking difference from how he acted around me. Dr. Ellis looked up and concluded that he seemed healthy. There are no indications of any physical discomfort or health issues. At times, shifts in behavior can arise from the influences of one's surroundings or emotional experiences. "What tales do you have about changes at home?" Mark gazed at me, his eyes filled with a quest for a response that eluded my grasp. "Not that I'm aware of," he said, his voice carrying a hint of bewilderment. The atmosphere grew dense, as if the very walls were leaning in, encasing my hidden truths in a tight embrace. "Perhaps it's merely the weight of stress," I suggested, my voice trembling. Dr. Ellis shared insights on behavioral training, and pointed towards a specialist for further guidance. It could be beneficial to explore any deeper concerns that Duke may be sensing. As we departed from the vet's office, the journey home unfolded in quietude, the radio muted with only the gentle hum of the car's engine filling the air. As Mark's hand extended toward mine, I found myself frozen, unable to grasp it, the weight of guilt anchoring me in place. Upon arriving home, I found solace in the kitchen, seeking a moment to gather my thoughts. Duke trailed behind, his gaze fixed on me, conveying an unspoken request, or maybe a hint of blame. I lost the ability to share my thoughts. The following day, Mark declared his intention to visit a new neighbor, presenting it as a friendly gesture to welcome her to the community. My heart felt heavy. I quickly agreed to join you, eager to avoid being left alone with Duke or my own swirling thoughts. With a warm smile, the neighbor who introduced herself as Sarah welcomed us. She had an undeniable allure, her presence captivating those around her. Duke, with a playful bounce, trotted over to her, his tail wagging joyfully, exuding an air of carefree confidence. "Duke appears to have taken a liking to you," Mark chuckled, his gaze resting on Sarah, just a heartbeat longer than I found comfortable. "He's a darling," Sarah responded, her voice enchanting. "Your home is truly lovely." Their words danced effortlessly around me, weaving a tapestry of connection, while I lingered on the periphery, a mere spectator in the narrative of my own existence. Tom's remark about Sarah sparked a flicker of uncertainty that blossomed into a persistent unease. Did Mark's feelings for her go beyond just being neighbors? That evening, after Sarah departed, Mark was filled with joy, sharing tales of her kindness and how she had recently relocated from another state. I observed him, my heart burdened by a hidden truth that was driving a wedge between us, now intensified by this fresh anxiety. "Mark," I began, my voice quivering with emotion, "what do you think of her looks?" His gaze met mine, filled with astonishment. "Linda is truly a wonderful individual." "What prompts your inquiry?" I couldn't keep it to myself anymore, as I noticed the way you gaze at her, and with all that's happening, I'm filled with fear. Mark's expression transformed, and he stepped nearer, gently grasping my hands. "Linda, can you share what's happening? You've been so far away, and now this unfolds. Share your thoughts with me." The moment had arrived, a captivating whirlwind of revelation. Just as I was about to speak, Duke's bark from outside broke the delicate silence. I stepped back, the phrases fading into silence. "It's just a little thing, Mark. I'm simply not quite in my element," I remarked, glancing aside, the falsehood leaving a sour aftertaste. Mark let out a deep breath, his irritation clear as day. "Linda, we can't continue down this path. If there is a tale you wish to share with me, please do so openly." The night unfolded, the quiet between us, a vast divide. I lay awake, attuned to Mark's rhythmic breaths, sensing the widening gap between us. The truth raged like a tempest, and I found myself at its heart, trapped in its relentless course. The following morning, I discovered that it was just Duke and me once more. His eyes, once brimming with affection, now appeared to carry an inquiry, a dare. As we strolled together, I sought the clarity to gather my thoughts, to muster the bravery to share what weighed on my heart. As we strolled along, memories of the incident flooded my thoughts. The breach of trust, the overwhelming fear, and now the nagging doubt about Mark's loyalty. In the stillness of the park, the morning mist lingered, weaving an eerie and surreal tapestry that whispered secrets of the dawn. In an instant, Duke was drawn to a figure he recognized in the distance. Once upon a time, there was Sarah out for a jog with her faithful dog by her side. My heart raced as Duke's actions echoed his response to her from the previous day. "Good morning, Linda." With a radiant smile, Sarah called out. I managed to return a smile, though my thoughts were in a whirlwind. "Good morning, Sarah." Duke's tail wagged, a vivid expression of his feelings. He had a fondness for her that seemed to run deep. Was this yet another twist in the tale, or was I simply overanalyzing the situation? My thoughts danced in a tempest, each one more tumultuous than the previous. "Duke, let's go." I called, my voice cutting through the air more than I meant it to. He paused, his eyes fixed on Sarah for a moment longer before he finally decided to follow me. As we continued our walk, the air around us was heavy with the weight of untold tales. Duke's actions echoed the chaos within me, revealing the confusion and sense of betrayal that consumed my thoughts. The park, often a sanctuary of serenity, now seemed like a backdrop for the drama of my life unfolding. Upon returning home, an unsettling silence enveloped the house. In the garage, Mark found himself immersed in the world of his old car, a project that had become a refuge from the emptiness left by our troubled relationship. I observed him from the other side of the glass, his concentration unwavering, each action purposeful. Was he steering clear of me, or was I merely casting my own anxieties onto him? I settled into the kitchen chair, feeling the heavy burden of my hidden truth bearing down on me, almost tangible in its intensity. The phone rang, pulling me from the depths of my thoughts. My sister spoke with a bright tone, completely unaware of the tempest swirling within me. "Greetings, Linda. What happened during Duke's visit to the vet?" she inquired. "Once upon a time? All right." I responded, my tone empty. There was nothing amiss in his physical condition. "That's wonderful to know. However, your tone seems a bit off. Is everything all right?" With a moment's pause, the reality lingered just at the edge of my words. "It's a bit of a tangled web." I pushed through, my voice wavering just a bit. "In what way is it intricate? Feel free to share your thoughts with me." I inhaled deeply, the thoughts gathering, poised to flow forth. Duke. He embarked on a journey, an experience so profound that words failed to capture its essence. And now with a Mark, there's this new neighbor, Sarah, and I'm just captivated by the unfolding narrative. For a brief moment, the air was thick with anticipation. "Linda, it's important that you share this with Mark. Whispers like these, they gnaw at your soul, at all that you hold dear." I understand. I murmured, the dread of Mark's response freezing me in place. "Hey, how about you join me for dinner this evening? I have some great tales to share. Only you and Mark sharing moments together. A shift in surroundings might bring some fresh perspectives." I concurred. The idea of encountering Mark in an unfamiliar setting was both daunting and essential. As I ended the call, a sense of determination began to take shape inside me. This evening I would share my tale with him. I found it necessary. The twilight crept in faster than I had expected. Mark, blissfully ignorant of the impending storm, was in great spirits, sharing tales of his day, his project, anything to bridge the silence that had settled between us. I adorned myself with intention, selecting an ensemble that felt like a shield, readying for the impending clash of dialogue that awaited. At my sister's, the ambiance was inviting, infused with the delightful sense of her culinary creations. The sound of her children's laughter filled the air, a joyful melody that stood in sharp contrast to the weight of the tension I felt inside. Mark was his usual charming self, weaving tales with my sister and her husband, while I sat there, my mind racing, my heart pounding. As the meal was presented, the words danced around the table, weaving a tapestry of shared moments and laughter. As I observed Mark, the gentle flicker of the candles illuminated his face, revealing a truly heartfelt smile. What transformation would that smile undergo upon his realization? As the last bite was savored, my sister proposed we transition to the living room for a warm cup of coffee. In that serene moment following dinner, as gentle melodies floated through the air, I felt a stirring within me, a realization that the moment had arrived. "Mark," I began, my voice quivering with emotion, "I have a tale to share with you." He looked at me, his demeanor changing from relaxed to worried. "What's on your mind, Linda?" I inhaled deeply, feeling as though the walls were inching closer, enveloping me in their embrace. "It's a tale of Duke and me." My voice was just a soft murmur, yet in the stillness it held the gravity of a secret unveiled. Mark's gaze locked onto mine, a mix of uncertainty and a trace of apprehension dancing in his eyes. "What tales can we share about Duke?" He shared an experience with me, Mark. There's something so profound that it's hard for me to express it verbally. Though my words stumbled and tangled, the meaning shone through unmistakably. Mark's complexion drained of color and his fork fell with a sharp clatter onto his plate. "What are you trying to convey, Linda?" My eyes were drawn to the ground, unable to meet his gaze. "Something about that night felt wrong, Mark." Duke entered the bathroom unexpectedly and behaved in a way that deeply unsettled me. The room fell silent as the weight of what I just shared began to sink in. My sister's hand found mine, squeezing gently, a quiet gesture of solidarity. Mark's response was delayed, his thoughts grappling with the extraordinary. "Linda, why didn't you share this with me earlier?" His voice carried a blend of disbelief and pain. Fear gripped me, Mark. Fearful of your response, anxious about the implications for our relationship for Duke. Mark rose suddenly, the sound of his chair sliding back echoed in the room. He wandered back and forth, fingers tangled in his hair, lost in thought. This transforms everything," he murmured, as if sharing a secret with the air around him rather than with us. The atmosphere crackled with anticipation, secrets laid bare, unvarnished, and vulnerable. My sister's husband gracefully stepped away, leading the children upstairs, allowing us some much-needed space. "Mark, I really need you to grasp this." I found myself at a loss, unsure of how to navigate the situation. "I worried you might blame me or doubt my words." Mark halted his restless movements, locking his gaze with mine, a whirlwind of feelings swirling within him. "I just need a little time, Linda. I must take a moment to reflect." He stepped outside the story, reaching its end. The door clicked shut behind Mark, enveloping the space in a silence that felt heavy and profound. I found myself in that moment, heart racing, as the revelation lingered around us, heavy and palpable. My sister, always a source of strength, drew nearer, encircling me with her arm. "Everything will turn out fine, Linda. He simply requires a little patience," she murmured, her voice a gentle comfort to my worn-out spirit. The minutes unfolded, weaving a tapestry of time that seemed to extend into hours. I gazed at the door, anticipation building within me, yearning for Mark's return. The truth had emerged, akin to a tempest that had burst forth, scattering chaos and destruction in its path. Yet as the storm approached, an unexpected wave of comfort washed over me, freeing me from the heavy chains of hidden truths. When Mark finally returned, his expression was a mystery. He settled into his seat opposite me, his gaze lingering just shy of making contact with my own. "Linda," he started, his voice raspy. "I apologize for leaving in that manner." "There's so much unfolding right now." I nodded, grasping the depth of his feelings. "I understand, Mark, and I regret not sharing this with you earlier." He inhaled deeply, his eyes finally rising to connect with mine. "Linda, I hear you, and my heart goes out to you for everything you faced. So what comes next for us? Let me share some tales about Duke and our journey together." The question lingered in the air, thick with meaning. Text. "I believe it's time for Duke to leave," I stated, my tone resolute, even though a sense of sorrow lingered with the choice. "He must leave this place, especially after everything that transpired." Mark nodded thoughtfully. "Tomorrow I will bring him to a shelter. They will discover a new place for him, a sanctuary where he poses no danger, where he can be at peace." The choice had been settled, yet the atmosphere remained heavy with lingering unease. "What about us?" I inquired, my voice scarcely rising above a murmur. Mark extended his hand across the table, gently grasping mine. "Let's navigate this journey side by side, Linda. Though the path may be challenging, I am determined to embark on this journey. My feelings for you run deep, and I have faith that we can overcome this together." Emotions surged within me, a wave of relief washing over my heart. That desire burns within me, Mark stronger than anything else. The following day, we brought Duke to the shelter. The journey unfolded in a heavy atmosphere where the quietness conveyed deep emotions. Duke lingered in the shadows, his gaze cast downward, as though he could feel the weight of the journey's conclusion pressing upon him. At the shelter, we shared the details of the situation, making sure that Duke would find a home where there were no children or vulnerable individuals around. As we departed from the shelter, Mark and I journeyed home in quiet contemplation, our minds wandering through unspoken narratives. The house carried a different essence in Duke's absence, a hollow echo lingering in the air. Yet amidst it all, a calmness emerged, signaling the start of recovery. In the coming weeks, Mark and I found ourselves in therapy sessions, each one unfolding like a chapter in our journey. We shared tales of the incident, weaving in our emotions, our anxieties, and the dreams we hold for what lies ahead. It was a journey filled with anguish and vulnerability, as if we were unearthing buried scars. Yet with every encounter, our bond deepened, revealing layers of understanding that had previously eluded us. One evening, as we sat on the porch, the air crisp with the promise of autumn, Mark turned to me with a glint in his eye. "Linda, I've been pondering. Perhaps it's time for us to embark on a new journey, embrace a new beginning, in a place where the echoes of yesterday fade away." This file exceeds a duration of 30 minutes.